The dictionary definition of a polymath is someone who claims a wide knowledge or learning of something. It's a kind of misleading thing, a polymath. It implies that you actually know what you're doing. And in the case of YouTube, I certainly don't. Although it's interesting to note that just before I sat down to record this, I had my first ever spam, I suppose it would have been, spam on my YouTube Gmail address, offering to solve all sorts of problems that I didn't know I had, and referring to a video that I haven't actually made. So it was all a bit confusing, I have to say. This video is going out on, well, obviously the channel that you're now watching, as opposed to my newer channel, which has got some other stuff on it. I'm trying to think and find of a way, this whole YouTube journey is all a bit of a mystery, as I try to find a way of combining the two. I know that it's quite difficult to do that, and that once you've got two channels, which I don't really need, it's very difficult to you can't merge them. So I'm going to have to move some stuff from one to the other, or from the other to the one. I don't know. We'll have to work that out. Anyone who's got any brilliant ideas, let's have them. Stick a note into the comments. But this channel that I'm posting on today has more subscribers than the other channel, and many more views on a slightly larger number of videos. The problem is that this channel is, I suppose it's eclectic, and that's where the sort of polymath introduction comes in. Because there's lots of things that I do, and those of you who are on this channel now probably would have seen the stuff on the other channel, which is an old man chatting. It's very difficult being 70 and starting this from scratch when you're a Luddite. But I'm going to get there. I'm determined I'm going to get there. So we'll see where the journey takes us. This particular video is going to be about my hobby, which is the collecting and rectification, saving, whatever you want to call it, of die-cast model cars. So I have a collection which, the last time I counted, and I do a periodic check, there's about 800 or so. Some of them are duplicate bodies but different liveries. Some of them are very old. Some of them are much newer. They're all from the period between 1948 and 1988, which I consider to be the formative years for me. I obviously wasn't born in 1948, but there were still cars around of the 1948 vintage that I was familiar with. I remember as a kid doing a newspaper round on a Sunday morning in the rain and sleet and whenever it was, and there was a guy round the corner from where I lived, had an immaculate Ford Popular, a Ford Popular similar to this little gem here, which was a Somerville kit that I built and trimmed and detailed. And that features in one of the prints that I'll talk about later. The Popular was on one street, and then it was, I think it was black. And it was old, and it was sort of slightly post-war with wings and running boards. In the next street along, there was a guy who was obviously a bit wealthier. And he had a Vauxhall Cresta. And it was the PA Cresta. So that was the one that looked a little bit like a 1955 Chevrolet. A wraparound screen at the front, a wraparound screen at the back, huge wings, lots of chrome, and in 3 colours. His car was black with pink and white. It was absolutely staggering, you know, in the early 60s, just coming out of, you know, wartime rationing and all that sort of stuff. And the belief that everything had to be a dull colour, you know, dull blue, dull green, black, brown, all that sort of. This thing was absolutely spectacular. And of course, I do have a model of it. Not that particular one, but a model of the similar car. With the collection, during the earlier part of the year, I took about 300 of them, selected them, and we did 2 things. One of them was to arrange 100 of them in a sort of car park-like setup. So rows and rows, forward and back and wide, and then shot at an angle. Now, my pal Rodney Saldana, who runs a business here called Riot Art and does some spectacular print and really very, very interesting textures and surfaces and acrylics and all sorts of stuff. It's very, very clever. He had borrowed, I think, a rather clever camera, which we put onto a kind of dolly, and it took 7 photographs across this range of cars. But it also took 10 deep, so it did a focus and then another focus and another focus, so that every single car on this spread, which must have been, you know, 2 meters wide, at least a meter in depth, probably more. So every single one was at some point in this process in perfect focus. And then he cleverly put the whole thing into a piece of software. And everything was, all these images, this 70 or 69 or whatever number of images, were all merged to make this terrific car park picture. And then that was done, printed up and done with an acrylic coating. It was absolutely splendid. And we exhibited it at the Dubai World Trade Centre, I think a few months back. I can't remember exactly when it was. But with the other 200 plus that 100, sort of 300, and then sorted them out using some other models from other cases. I did some photography myself. Not that I'm a very good photographer, but what we did was we got the cars together, and I put them together in groups of 8, and I shot them directly from above with, you know, a little bit of a little bit of shadow lighting on them, just to create the 3-dimensional effect. And then once the cars had been grouped and shot in 8s, Rodney again took all of the images and then applied a really nice graphic software to them, so that they ended up looking like illustrations of real cars and not a photograph of model cars, which are, you know, that size. So the models are all 143. So that car appears at life size 143 in the prints. So that's one of the prints, and you can see the Popular at the top. And there's Cortinas and Classics and various other Fords in this. And I have that print, and I have others. There's one on Land Rovers, series Land Rovers, 1, 2, 2A, 3, short, long wheelbase. And there's one here which has some Jaguars on it. And again, D-types. There's a XK, there's an E-type and some of the sporting saloons there. And then I did one on Lotuses as well, so Elite, Elan, all these sort of things. Everything between sort of nothing earlier than 48 and nothing later than 88. These are now high quality art prints on really good quality paper. And because they're all British, it was felt that there wouldn't be probably much of a market here in Dubai for them. Precious few people would even recognise half the cars that were there. So my old Oppo, my partner in crime from motorsport days, Gordon Mellis, who runs a little operation in the borders of Scotland and publishes lots and writes and publishes lots of motoring, motorsports, motor-related publications, and is custodian of the Scottish Karting Heritage Library, has done a load of prints. So all of these cars that I've just shown are available as limited edition prints on very high quality art paper, ready for framing. There are 40 different versions, so apart from these 4, there are other cars, there are groups of cars, there are police cars, there are small commercials, Morris Thousands, for example. And each one of them has 8 cars, except the Mini, which gets 12 because it's the same size board that everything was photographed on. Now, Gordon has these available in his wee shop, and I've got the details here, if I can read them with my new glasses on. Gordon is at www.charterhallpublications, all one word, .com, and that is where you would go to see the range of prints that's available. The ordering, if you want to have one or 2 or several, would be Gordon at motorscot.com, and I'll try my very best to put the graphic for that on this recording. As I say, YouTube is proving to be more difficult for a Luddite than I really thought it would be. And whilst I've kind of partially mastered iMovie, I'm still struggling a little bit. So please excuse any amateurishness that comes with this video. There will be more of that before it gets better, I can assure you. But Gordon would be delighted to hear from you, and as would I, because they're really nice little prints. There's rally cars, there's race cars, there's I think there's one on taxis, there's certainly one on police cars. There's quite a range, and as I say, 40 odd, so all the UK marks, Austin Morris, MG, Wolseley, Riley, all of the marks that you can think of. Couple of Vauxhalls, 2 or 3 Fords, that sort of thing. So that your car, if you have one, will definitely be there, and you will definitely remember cars that are featured. So that's where we get to at this point. I will need to read my notes and check what's next. Right, I've checked the notes. The other thing I was going to talk about was the actual modelling itself. Now this will be probably the subject for a larger video, or maybe several videos. I may end up maybe trying to recreate something, or try and make a car, or at least go through the process of restoring something. But one that I did recently was a Corgi Ford Thames, so Ford Anglia, ice cream van, which was kindly sent to me by one of the guys in the modelling community, who's pretty famous for his videos, a guy called Martin Dare. Now, Martin sent me a bundle of stuff last summer when I was back in the UK. It's very difficult to get anything in my scale out here, but he sent me a box of toys, various states of disrepair, some of them nice, some of them, badly play worn, some in a mess, someone hand painted it or kid painted, all bashed. These are the sort of things that I like to work on. And there is a process that you go through to open the vehicle up, separate the components, clean them, put them into a caustic soda bath, polish them, paint them, bring in new parts, reassemble. And one of the ones that I did out of this ice cream van was to turn it into a little coal lorry. And there's a photograph will go up to go with this little coal truck. So this had ice cream bodywork on the top of it and was pale blue. And I've just changed it because I can, and I quite like it. So that was a little scrapper, really, something that should just have gone in the bin, and has now been rescued. It's maybe 45, 50 years old. It'll live to do another life. It'll live another day. Some of the models that I've got are older than I am, and I'm already 70, which is why I'm having so much difficulty in getting all this done. But it's also why I am a polymath, because I know things. Anyway, if you're interested in the subject, we've got cars, we've got prints, and I'll probably do something about maybe posting an assembly or a restoration. That would be quite nice. At least I think it'd be quite nice. It might not be interesting, and whether it goes here or whether it goes on another channel, or whether I post a short on the other channel, or maybe take the stuff from the other channel and try and put them on here as shorts. I just don't see it being a viable thing to have the two channels running. But we'll see. So, I'm Fraser Martin. I'm 70. I'm a Luddite. And the fact that I've come this far is something of a miracle, I think. But we're going to keep going. So, thanks for being here. I look forward to the next one. And here's a wee outtake. One of the things I'm going to have to learn to do is to stop looking at those two wee lights and concentrate on the lens of the camera. I've got a big blue arrow painted in the back of this bloody phone, and I still keep looking at the lights. It's just so difficult to remember everything. Gordon's prints, by the way, of my model car collection come in sturdy packaging. So unless your postman is a real expert in origami, it should all arrive quite safely.